Michael, what is MultiCare doing to help improve the capacity to try to get more patients in, given I'm sure the stories that I'm hearing are the same stories you're all hearing about the capacity and the wait lists and all that. So how's your organization approaching this?
Right. I mean, I have the same story, right? My primary care doc retired at the beginning of this year, and I called for a new primary care provider, and without pulling strings, and I didn't pull strings, I still haven't seen a primary care provider, and I'll see one in June. So it's
you want to see one in Cleveland? I know a good one.
So I think that the first sort of AI I think that everyone understands the people, right? We need to hire more people, right? And so we have moved forward with more APPs, advanced practice practitioners, so PAs and nurse practitioners in a sort of team-based environment, paired up with primary care docs in order to improve access. I think that's the people part, right? I think that the process, there's the process as well in terms of how do we triage the people, how do we triage patients who are calling in for a primary care visit? How do we understand who it is that needs to come to the front of the line, especially from a value-based care standpoint? And then it's the technology, right? And so I think that one of the first we'll call it AI-enabled technologies that we implemented that we thought would improve access was ambient clinical documentation. So, we're fairly early in our trial. We've been on a particular solution for the last year now, and while we've seen a decrease in documentation time and a slight decrease in time in chart, we have not seen an organic increase in number of patients seen. I know that there are other institutions out there that have seen an increase in the number of patients being seen, and that throughput exists. I think that the other area where I have a particular interest, and this is probably more of it's driven by my own personal narrative, in that when I first came into practice as a urologist 20 years ago, it typically took me about 6 patients. I'd have to see 6 patients in my ambulatory clinic in order to book one surgery. By the time I stopped seeing patients in 2021, I would go and see 25 patients and not book one surgery. And so the access issue is a real issue, and a lot of it has to do with referrals that are incomplete, referrals that are done because primary care docs just don't have the time to actually care for the patients. And so how do you work upstream to provide other sorts of care, be it virtual, asynchronous, what have you, in order to open up access? Because we know that early access leads to early diagnosis, which leads to early treatment and early cure and reduction in the overall cost of care. And so, those are the things that we're doing right now in terms of looking at how to use technology, but we have to put the people and process in front of it.